It's not here. I'm just going to have to tell her. She said it's not here. Okay, so we're going to go on and call this meeting to order. The first item of business is handling any old business. Is there any old business that should come before the Senate at this time? Seeing none, we will move on to new business. The first item of business under new business is the confirmation vote for Chief Justice Paxton Crowder. Those applications were due a few months ago, and then the new executive team interviews those applicants. We had one applicant who is currently a member of the Judicial Board, which is Paxton Crowder, and that is who we are deciding to nominate for you to confirm. So we can, if any of you have anything to say about that, positive or negative, we can, and if not, you can make a motion to accept that nomination.
Motion to accept.
Second. All right, it has been moved and seconded to confirm Paxton Crowder for Chief Justice. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Okay, the motion passes, and Paxton Crowder will be our new Chief Justice. The next item of business is the resolution 82-18-R1. That is a resolution to support the implementation of the Executive Council strategic initiatives. This year we sort of did something that we haven't done for as long as I know. The Executive Council sat down at the beginning of the year upon our election, and we listed out a number of priorities that we have for the Senate, and as well as like goals and priorities for the Student Government Association throughout the year. I sent that out in an email, but before we do we do have to read all of that, so I know that's a long thing, but we will read that. And then Jada Polovic, the Chief of Staff, has written a resolution that says the Senate supports that strategic initiative. So right now, it's just the Executive Council strategic initiative, and then we will vote on the resolution for you all to also adopt that and support that as your goals as well. So just to be sure that everybody's on board. So I will go on and read that. We didn't print any out because that'd be a lot of paper. So but it is the same thing that was in your email. So. Okay, so the 2018-2019 strategic initiatives, Murray State Student Government Association. Section 1, goals for Student Government Association. And if you have any questions, so we don't address them all at once at the end, just stop me and you can ask the question then, and then one of us will try our best to explain it. The goals for the Student Government Association. One of our main priorities, especially in the current budgetary climate, is to assist the university in increasing enrollment. Senators and Senate committees should be constantly thinking of ways to accomplish this task. The Student Government Association plans to host a conference for high school student governments. This will serve as a way for high school students to learn about SGA as well as a recruitment tool for the university to attract new students who are already ambitious leaders. B, we want to see more students knowledgeable and passionate about SGA. Senators should consistently seek to engage a diverse group of students. Section under that, we will pursue increased diversity within the association that will provide a more welcoming environment for students. 2, all meetings of our Senate, with the exception of private personnel matters, will be open to the public. We encourage students to attend these meetings and contact SGA members, their senators, and executive council with their praises and concerns. 3, the executive officers should be available to address concerns as much as possible. This should begin with regular office hours being posted and advertised for students to go to the Center for Student Involvement office to address problems with an open door policy. And 4, senators should have an above satisfactory constituency outreach. It is our priority to be as transparent and accurate as possible when advocating for student interests. Any questions so far? Okay, number 2. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Section 2, structural changes for Student Government Association. The Senate committee structure will be a focus of the 82nd Senate. We believe positive change is well thought out and an active committee structure will assist in this task. Section under that, 1, each Senate subcommittee will plan and administer at least one project that has a progressive impact either on SGA or the university as a whole. B, constitutional changes are sometimes necessary but should be carefully considered. Our Constitution should not prohibit the student government from advocating for the goals and missions of the university. C, it is the desire of the student government to be well funded in a way that is comparative to other public universities. It should be a priority to accurately assess student wants and needs and organize a sustainable funding model that is parallel to that feedback. Okay, and number 3, advocacy points for auxiliary services. So, and just before I read this section, everything else has been very broad so far. If this is adopted, this does not mean that the university will make these changes. This doesn't mean that this is what they'll adopt, or it doesn't even mean that it might be something that we accomplish throughout the year, but it's something that just sort of lays out a plan for us to keep focused as we continue through the year. So Section A, dining services should provide pricing and quality that is appealing to students at first glance. This should be utilized as a recruiting tool for our university, meaning dining services should be of comparative value to other public institutions in the state of Kentucky. Section I, outsourcing process. In the event that Murray State University chooses to outsource dining services, we support the interests of students above all. This includes the quality of food provided as well as the accessibility and affordable prices of those services. Section under that, quality. An outsourcing option should provide an equal or improved quality of food. This includes providing a diverse amount of food options. Among the top priorities of improving and maintaining the quality of food is the desire for students to implement popular chain restaurants on campus. Number 2, affordability. The Student Government Association is strictly opposed to the possibility of a dramatic meal plan pricing increase under any circumstance. Section 2, it is a desire of the Student Government Association to support and advocate for the creation of a dining option in or around the new science complex. These students are often confined to these buildings all day and limited on their ability to dine. The desire is for a similar option to the Business Express located in the College of Business. Number 3, the Student Government Association encourages greater advertising of the Market 22 Burrito Bar. This is an ideal evening option that all students should be informed about. And Section 4, we support hours of operation for dining locations to be convenient for the students and visitors on campus. And section underneath of that, during Saturday summer orientation sessions, it is the desire of this association to ensure the Thorough Brewed Coffee Shop is open for the entirety of the day for families and incoming students to purchase items. And then B, under auxiliary services, housing options should be comparable to other universities in both quality and pricing. We believe modern on-campus housing options are limited and therefore provide a prevalent obstacle in the recruitment of new students. Section 1 under that, we are in favor of the sustainment of the residential college system and support the continuation and constant improvement of this concept. And number 2, it is our desire for the housing placement process to provide equal opportunity for students to be placed in residential college of their cultural preference and financial ability. Any questions there? Okay. And section 4, finally, overall university budget. It is our priority that Murray State University is an affordable institution for students of all backgrounds. We believe that the university must financially cater to our main demographic of students, 18 counties of rural Western Kentuckians. It is crucial that the cost for higher education remains realistic for those individuals and families. We are strictly opposed to any additional costs that would provide a significant financial burden to students. Authored by J.T. Payne, SGA President and Student Regent, and sponsored by the SGA Executive Council. Are there any questions to that? Yes. Okay. Where was it?
Can you go back to the previous page? Therefore, on section B. It's on the very end.
Yeah, it's missing an E.
Okay, can we write that down so we'll just make sure to correct that? Okay, and then yes.
Is there anything for involvement on sports or anything like that?
We did not put that in the strategic initiative. However, if you read in the resolution that Jada will read out loud that we're going to adopt, I think section 2 or 3 in that says that a part of this strategic initiative and a part of the goal of this strategic initiative and the implementation of it is the ability to amend as the year progresses. So if you decided that we had a new priority as an association, or the executive council decided that, then somebody could come in and make an amendment, and we could add any section or take out any section as the university climate changes.
What do you mean by the cultural atmosphere of their choice? I can't read it that far. Section 3, advocacy points for auxiliary services, and then B, under housing, and then section 2. What it means, all it means by cultural there is by saying that if you look up the definition of cultural, it's the societal behaviors. So basically what we're saying is if a student prefers the culture that's created in Elizabeth College, then that's where they should be placed if they have a desire to be in that culture and take part in those activities and the programming that they put in that college, then it should be a priority of the university to place those students where their communal preferences are, if at all possible.
To kind of piggyback off that too, I know in White College they're starting like co-ed stuff on floors, so that's another.
Right. So if they, for instance, if they wanted to stay away from that or be involved in that, then it should be the priority of the university to address that and allow that if at all possible. Anything else? Okay, well, thank you for all the questions. And then we have to read the resolution out loud. And Jada, since she was the author of that, she will read that resolution, and then we will vote on the resolution. And if it's adopted, then this will be the strategic initiative for the Student Government Association for the coming year.
All right, this is a resolution to support the strategic initiatives brought forth by the Student Government Association Executive Council. The purpose is for the Student Senate of the Student Government Association of Murray State University to support the strategic initiatives brought forth by the SGA Executive Council to be utilized by the organization to highlight the specific goals of the Student Government Association wishes to implement and accomplish throughout the 2018-19 academic year. Whereas the strategic initiatives are utilized as an outline that will guide the actions and programming of the Student Government Association. Whereas the strategic initiatives can be amended throughout the year as the priorities of the Student Government Association change with a simple majority Senate vote. Whereas the strategic initiatives may be used by other students and campus individuals to hold the Student Government Association accountable to ensure enhancement to campus life is being made. Therefore, be it resolved that the Student Senate of the Student Government Association of Murray State University supports the strategic initiatives brought forth by the SGA Executive Council to be utilized by the organization to highlight the specific goals of the Student Government Association wishes to implement and accomplish throughout the 2018-19 academic year.
So is there any discussion on this resolution? Is there a motion to accept the resolution as read?
Second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 82-18-R1. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Okay, resolution passes, so that will be the strategic initiative moving forward that can be revised as need be. Is there any other new business at this time? Okay, so I skipped the minutes at the beginning, so we're going to go back up to the minutes unless there's an objection for going off the agenda. Okay, are there any corrections to the secretary's minutes from last meeting?
I move to amend the minutes by striking out all guests except Miss Jeannie Morgan. And I would also like to amend the minutes by striking out Richmond Senate chairs and Humanities and Fine Arts chair and inserting Richmond Senator and Humanities and Fine Arts Senator.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, is there any debate on the correction to the minutes? All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay, and now we will vote on the approval of the minutes as amended. All those in favor of approving the minutes as amended say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay, so those minutes are approved. Now we will go into director reports. Before we begin with director reports, can we get the slide pulled up? And then, so before we go into this, this sheet right here, this half sheet, this is where this comes in. So we have 5 directors, and they are the chair persons of the Senate subcommittees. So each one of those, okay. Before we go to director reports, we'll do branch reports. I'm really skipping down here. So let's do branch reports first, and then we'll go to director reports. So I've got a letter to read by Craig Lamb, who is the Chief Justice, the current Chief Justice. He sent me a letter. He could not be here, so he was just going to have me read this as his report. Senators and chairmen, I apologize for not being able to attend your all's first Senate meeting and my last. I assure you all that I am working hard today, as I do every day, to ensure that members of this university are able to receive fair and equitable administrative due process. Throughout the nearly 3 years that I've been in the role of Chief Justice, the number of responsibilities and amount of work that goes into serving on multiple judicial boards, as well as a liaison to the Senate, has become increasingly larger. Because of the learning curve involved with respect to these responsibilities, I would urge the 82nd Senate, although you are not constitutionally bound, to follow the precedent of appointing a chief from within the already existing pool of serving justices. I felt obligated to share with you all that an enormous amount of training is required from multiple departments of the university, including but not limited to training and testing with parking services, the IDEA and Title IX office, in addition to other sub-departments of student affairs. This training is primarily done throughout the year, prior to appointments as co-chair or chair, and over the summer, as I will remain acting until May 12th and continue to hold University Judicial Board hearings. Until that time, I will begin scheduling training for the new Chief Justice immediately upon his or her confirmation by the Senate. Personally, it is my strong recommendation that you all, as the Senate, confirm the candidate in which the student body president has selected and the executive council has unanimously confirmed, which you all did. Furthermore, I would encourage you all to draft and consider legislation during your upcoming term that will provide that in order to apply for Chief Justice position, the candidate must have prior judicial board experience and that the position must be appointed before the end of each school year. This type of legislation would help to ensure competency and provides a courtesy to the Student Judicial Board, the University Judicial Board, the Director of Student Affairs, and to the Parking Services offices. I wish the 82nd Senate the best in all future endeavors, and thank you in advance for your service to the student body of this university. Sincerely, Craig Lamb, Chief Justice. So that was his report, and now we will move to the report of Becca Weyerbacher, the RCA President.
Hey guys, I don't really have much for you guys involving Residential College Association since the semester is so close to being over and the majority of the programs are done. And I'd just like to let all of the senators know that I'm here if you guys have any ideas for the residential colleges in general or the system as a whole. And also that residential college senators, I would like to be more in contact with you all for the upcoming year. So just throwing that out there. If you all want to talk to me or anything at any time, I'm here.
And Becca does a great job, and I encourage all of you, whether you are residential college senators or not, to go to the RCA meeting at least a few times to see what Becca does and see what that association does, because we do work closely with them, and they're an important body here on this campus. So now we will move into director reports. What the director reports are is they are the chairman of the Senate subcommittee. So each of you will be required to join a committee. So this meeting during the reports, usually we don't place people into those committees until next year, until the fall semester, but we're going to try things a little bit differently. And they're going to tell about their committees, tell about themselves, and then at the end of the meeting, throughout the meeting, if you'll fill these out, and then at the end of the meeting, turn these sheets in of your preference. Ultimately, the executive council has the ability to place you wherever, just in case that and the only reason that we would place you somewhere that you didn't sign up for is if we had like an enormous amount of people sign up for one committee. We kind of have to have those evenly spread. So now they're going to go through, and they'll have a PowerPoint slide to read each of their what each committee does and tell about themselves a little bit, and then we'll be good to go. The first one is University Affairs, which is Claudia Bertram.
Okay, so before I just read off what's on the slide, if you would like to be on my committee, I am in charge of organizing the blood drive on August 30th or 23rd and 24th. So if you join this committee or request to join this committee, you would need to work shifts, working registration, or handing out snacks and drinks, so people don't pass out walking to class. So then you are responsible. So on this committee, you would be responsible for the research and investigation of items referred to the committee by the Student Senate or Executive Council. Be responsible for conducting polls and interest surveys for SGA, and be responsible for providing recommendations about programs available to students on campus, such as financial aid, housing, and health services. Does anyone have any questions for me? Thank you.
And then Marie Young, which is the Election Ways and Means Director. Go next.
So what you'll be doing on the Election Ways and Means Committee, we're just responsible for drafting for verification and publication of all the bills, amendments, bylaws, and resolutions which come before the Student Senate, and also being accountable for the regulation and conduct of all the SGA elections. So if you have any questions, you can come to me, and I'd love to see you on my committee.
All right, and then the next one is Allie Morgan, which is the Public Relations Chairperson.
Hello, I'm a sophomore here. I'm a public relations major with an advertising minor. And if you want to join my committee, this is what we will be responsible for. And we'll be responsible for maintaining an up-to-date social media presence, actively providing publicity for events sponsored by each branch of the SGA, coordinating with other branches to ensure consistent publicity, and we're responsible for the publication and distribution of any publication as directed by the Student Senate or the Executive Council. So if you're interested in that, please see me.
All right, and then the next one will be Andrew Kane, and he is the Government Relations Director.
So my committee, we're going to be mainly focusing, we have midterm elections coming up this year, so we're going to be focusing on getting voter registration, getting people out to vote, getting legislators on campus to talk, and making sure people are involved, including coordinating the Races in Action program and keeping up with both the college Republicans and the college Democrats on our campus. So that's what my committee will be doing.
All right, and then last but not least is Sam Vick, and she's the Diversity and Inclusion Director.
Like Nikki said, my name is Sam Vick. I'm a junior agriculture education major. Diversity and inclusion are two very important factors that make students feel comfortable and welcome on our campus. And for my committee, we'll be responsible for advancing the diversity and inclusion efforts of SGA, and we coordinate efforts to encourage underrepresented minority involvement within SGA positions and programming.
All right. right, and then that's it with that. And before we move on, I just want to be sure to say that a lot of you are in the same clubs and organizations and fraternities and sororities. So I'm just going to go on and warn you that we probably are not going to place too many of the same demographic and the same group of people in a committee with one another. So don't look to your friends and get what committee you want to be on. Put the one that you actually want to be on. So because that will be a priority, is to make sure that each committee is represented with the demographics of the university. So. Okay, so now we will move into officer reports, and we'll start with Bennett Estes.
Yep. I'm going to give a quick overview of our budget last year and where that money was allocated. Hopefully you can read this. I've kind of got it broken down, tried to fit it all on one slide. So in the red, you've got scholarships, stipends, and salaries. The reason why it's in red is that's something that we don't really have control over allocating, so that's kind of separate. The stuff in black is kind of the stuff that we actually have control over allocating. The office last year was allocated $6,600. The Senate was allocated $10,400. The freshman council was allocated $500. The judicial board was allocated $750. The residential college was allocated $250. And then the big price tag is the campus activities board, which was $75,220. And a lot of that money goes to just programming and bringing awesome events to campus. So that was a grand total of our budget of $135,000. And $120. Next year, we haven't received our budget yet for next year, how much we're going to receive, but we will either during the summer or next semester, we'll go over allocating that new money. But this was the budget for 2017 and 2018. If y'all have any questions about it, and more specifically where that money's going, I'd love to talk to you after the meeting. Thank you.
All right, and our next report will be Kelsey Calhoun.
Hey guys, I'm Kelsey. I'm super excited for this year, but my announcements are: please send all of your absence excuses to me or JT, and they need to be turned in 24 hours before the meeting. So yesterday at 4:30, and you must send them by email. So even if you have my number, if you have JT's number, don't text us, send it through an email. Also, you only get 2 unexcused absences. So on the third one, I'll be sending you an email hey, you need to come in and talk to us because we'll have to figure something out. Also, for any of our branch reports or director reports, if you all could send me your reports beforehand so that I can make sure that they get everything across, that would be awesome. But I'm super excited for this year, you guys.
All right, and then Kelly McIndoe, our Executive Vice President.
So all I have is a little bit about the Campus Activities Board. We're still accepting applications for that. So if you know anyone interested, please tell them to stop by the CSI office to pick up an application. We will not be interviewing for CAB until next semester. So whoever applies will be contacted the first couple of weeks into the fall semester, and then just spread the word about the applications for CAB. And that's all I have for this week. So thank you.
All right, and then for my report, we're going to go over the Senate Leadership Agreement. Once again, this is something we have to read. I know you're going to get tired of hearing my voice. I do. So a few changes were made to, I know most of you are new in the Senate, but the Executive Council each year gets to determine the leadership agreement within reason. I'm going to read the leadership agreement first and then very briefly tell you what significant changes were made from last year to this year. So number one, I will support the mission, goals, and objectives set forth by the Student Government Association. Number two, I will perform the specific duties of my office as prescribed by the Student Government Association. Number three, as a team member, I will accept additional roles and responsibilities in certain projects and programs later agreed upon. Number four, I will attend all weekly meetings unless an emergency arises and/or I have been excused by the President or Secretary. Number five, I understand that I should keep to myself and share with no others any information shared in any of the executive sessions of our Senate meetings. Number six, I understand that it is a requirement of this office to serve on Senate subcommittees. Failure to attend committee meetings without written consent of the President or Secretary will result in forfeiture of my office. And Section A, Senate chairs, this is specifically for you all. I understand that I must deliver a substantive report at each Senate meeting. My committee and I will also plan and deliver at least one impactful and related project during the year. We will also conduct regular meetings no less than bi-weekly to carry out our responsibilities. Number 7, it is my responsibility to reach out to my constituents and report back to the Student Government Association with the students' issues and praise. A, this is specifically for Senator at Large. I understand that I must table inside of the Chorus Center or Winslow Dining Hall or other location approved by the President for at least 2 hours per semester. B, Academic College Senator. This is specifically for you. I understand that I must speak to at least one transitions class in the college I represent during the fall semester and speak to at least one student organization within my academic college during the spring semester. And C, Residential College Senators. This is specifically for you. I understand that I must attend at least one RCC meeting per semester. Number 8, I will attend and assist with at least one Campus Activities Board event, excluding homecoming. And then number 9, I understand it is a requirement of this office to assist the Student Government Association during homecoming. Failure to do so without written consent of the President or Secretary will result in forfeiture of my office. Number 10, I understand that I must attend the Senate retreat during the fall semester. And number 11, I understand that a failure to perform my duties or the responsibilities outlined in this agreement will serve as a just cause for the removal of my office. So basically the changes that were made from last year is last year each senator was required to have office hours. Every week they would have to go to the Center for Student Involvement and work 1 to 2 hours per week in that office. And they were also required to all do a corp table, so a table in the somewhere each semester. So we took that out because a lot of the old senators and people who were in the old Senate said that they felt like that was just a waste of an hour per week. And I did agree it was a good theory, but you would just sit down there kind of for an hour a week and do nothing. So in place of that is where we put section number 7. So section number 7 is what we substituted for that. And for everything, that's pretty much one thing per semester that you have to do with your constituents. So we think that that's a decrease in the amount of actual time obligation that you have, but it also helps reach more students and address more students' concerns. So it was written in the previous Senate leadership agreement that you had to attend I forget whether, was it RCC or RCA meetings that they had to attend?
They had to attend all of the RCC meetings, but it was never enforced.
Right, so that was a once a week thing, and it was, like we said, it was never enforced, and we couldn't figure out how to enforce that. So we draw that back, but you are encouraged to, if you're a residential college senator, you're encouraged to go to as many RCC and RCA meetings as you can, but once a semester, you are required to give a report of what you had. So during all these events, you're required to give a report back to the student government about what praises and concerns that you had.
So why was it drawn back to one RCC meeting?
So we drew it back to one because it wasn't enforced, and when we had elections, there are 16 residential college positions, and we only had 2, maybe 3 people actually run for those positions. So we as an executive council sat down and said, how can we get people engaged and get people involved in this, and what's the problem here? So we determined that it could potentially, we were limiting the group, the number of people that we could get involved, simply because attending another meeting every week that you did not have control over was very burdensome. So we drew that back to 1 that would also equal the time requirement of the academic college senators and senator at larges. So, it's not our job. We don't want to do things that we can't enforce, and for 2, it's not our job to be babysitters. So we're not going to put a ton of requirements on you all, and then helicopter over top of you to make sure that you're getting them done. It's your job to represent the students of Murray State. You were elected to represent the students of Murray State. And the way that you best see fit to do that, we're going to encourage you to do certain things, but we really are not going to require you. We're not going to keep tabs on you every week to do those sorts of things.
And though it's not a requirement to go to all of the RCC and RCA meetings if you are a residential college center or any center for that matter, we would still like to encourage you all to get as involved in the system as you can, because the residential college centers, you are representing your college. So in order to be able to best represent your college, you need to know the culture and the climate, the community, what goes on in your residential college. And next semester, I'll be able to come to you all with the RCC and RCA times and things like that, just hoping we can bridge that gap between the different branches of SGA again.
Yes.
To piggyback on that, I know at least in White College anyway, the SGA student senators are part of the RCC exec board. So like, it's kind of like your job to be there at the meetings. So.
Right, and if that's a requirement that residential college puts on you, then you'll have to try to fulfill that to the best of your abilities. But as far as us in the student government, then that's what we're requiring. So, but definitely for residential college senators, we encourage you to get involved as much as you can with them. With academic college senators, even though it's only one per semester, we encourage you to do more. We encourage you to go to as many student organizations as you can in that academic college. And then for senator at large, we encourage you to table. Much more than 2 hours, but that's just what we are going to enforce, and that's what we're going to keep tabs of.
I'll just go on. So, if I'm not mistaken, RCC exec actually can take you off SGA because you do represent them. They can take you off, if I'm not mistaken, off of SGA if you're not representing them well. So it is good to actually go to those, because I think that was why it was actually in there, is because you're representing the people on campus and that's the people you're going to see the most. So I would recommend going to those, because if I'm not mistaken, they can still take you off of SGA if you're not representing them well.
Yeah, and that's something we'll have to look into, but that very well could be true. I just don't know for sure.
It whenever we changed it to where it got voted on by all the students rather than that RCC that you should do that way.
Another question from number 7 for the academic college center.
Yes.
Can you explain what you're supposed to do for that speaking? You're supposed to speak one time, and what are you supposed to speak about?
Okay, so during the transitions class, good question is, and a lot of this we will go over at our Senate retreat, and you'll understand a little bit more. But as far as the transitions class, you'll go and you'll say who you are, and you'll say what position you hold, and then you'll kind of give an update about what student government does, and then accept any concerns that they have. So just that way, I think that's a huge group of people that you can reach in that academic college, and they can say, oh, well, that's the person that if I have a concern that I need to contact.
Also, one thing I did last year when I talked to our college business class was it was before the freshman council senator or freshman council applications were due, so I recommended if they were interested to talk to that, just for more people in SGA.
Where and when will the retreat take place?
So that has not been determined yet, but last year it was held. It's just a one-day thing. It's not like a weekend-long thing. It's just a one-day, and probably even more like a half a day. Usually they're on Saturdays, so it'll be either the first half or the second half of a Saturday, and that date will be determined once we come back. So, and you'll have, at least 2 to 3 weeks notice of that meeting, of that retreat, so that you can clear your schedule for that. Okay, any more questions on the leadership agreement? All right, and if we could just get that signed and turned in when you turn in your committee preferences. Are there any university committee reports? Okay.
So academic council, we're kind of wrapping things up for the semester. So again, this is kind of your last chance. If you have anything you want to push through academic council, talk to me. If not, then.
All right. Any more university committee reports? Okay, now we will move into our guest reports, and we will begin with dining services.
Can you throw it in there for me real quick? I think the first thing we want to talk about is on May 2nd. What's going on?
Single breakfast.
There you go.
Ready to fry?
You did good. I just wanted to make sure I remember the proper.
And while we're waiting for that, I'll just add about the Senate retreat. I know all of this is very overwhelming, you know, the motions and the seconds and the votes and the legislation and so on and so forth. It's very, very overwhelming if you've never been here before. But during the Senate retreat at the beginning of next year is when you'll get trained specifically on parliamentary procedure and how things work. So it will no longer be, you know, as overwhelming as it is right now.
And as we talk about in the third room, the tea room, the limited time offer, the LTO this week is Create Your Own Burger at 549, and there's big signs up there about that. Winslow Dining Room, tomorrow evening dinner. We reported last week that the dining service participated in a charity event in Paducah. And we won the first prize for appetizer, and that appetizer there's a picture of it right there, and that will be served tomorrow night at dinner. They raised $68,000 in this charity. It is a battered women, children's charity that is utilized here on campus and interacts with the university at the same time. I apologize, I can't remember the proper name for it. KSAP, correct. Thursday, 26th, tomorrow night, we have the Iron Chef competition. Judging will be at 6 o'clock. Sunday, because of the weather we had last weekend, we're going to move the picnic outside in front of Winslow. Tuesday, May 1st, Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo means May 5th. That is Saturday. That's also the same day the Kentucky Derby is going to be run. So we're having it on Monday so more people can participate in that. On Wednesday, we're going to have a steak night. On Thursday, all day, we're going to have the Kentucky Taste of Derby. And on Sunday, May 6th, we have almost midnight breakfast from 9 to 11, and there will be T-shirts provided. We have extended hours in in Waterfield, and we have also extended hours in Winslow. We're going to be opening up early for breakfast. As you see, we normally open up at 7. We're going to be opening up at 6:30, and we'll have the late night from 11 o'clock p.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. if you want to come over and get some coffee or a donut or a cookie or something of that nature. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Can you go back a slide? On Wednesday, May 2nd for the steak night, will there still be options for people who don't eat?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We will have a grilled portobello mushroom.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? And there will be other options out there. It's just not going to be the steak served. We'll still have the other locations open also, okay? Such as pizza and the salad bar and the vegetarian, vegan, and the deli and so forth. So, okay? I thank you all very much. Yes, ma'am.
At dinner at Winslow, they start taking things back at like 8, but late night doesn't start until 8:30. So there's a weird 30-minute gap when there's practically no food.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a different way to address that, because students come in and there's nothing for them to eat other than like a bagel.
And cereal. Well, there's other stuff there besides bagel and cereal. Okay. The reason for that is because it's hard. It's difficult to make the transition at the time, and that gives the kitchen prep time and the people there a little time to clean up and get changed over. So maybe next semester or the rest of this year, let's talk about that, because that's what's in front of us right now, right? Let's talk about maybe keeping the salad bar open. Would that be a good option to do? through that transition?
Just keeping some of the mainline food, not necessarily having to keep everything. But I know it was right at 8 o'clock, and one of my friends went to get yogurt, and the yogurt was still in the container, but they took the spoon away and then wouldn't give her a spoon to get the yogurt, even though it was right in front of her. So.
Yeah, I apologize, but you just think about there's a lot of things happen, and we have a lot of people coming and going. So I apologize about that. But we're trying to make a transition from one meal to another meal, and it's not as easy as one would think, just sitting on the sidelines. So maybe if we kept the deli and the salad bar open or something of that nature, because we have to have a point to stop and a point to start.
Just having some kind of main food item still available during that transition.
And what would that main food item be?
I think the deli is a good option because it also has the salad portion where you can get a salad at the deli. And that eliminates 2 rows of one, so you can still take the salad bar out while leaving the deli open.
We good with that, folks? Keeping the salad, the deli open because we have the composed salads that we have there. All right. Everybody good? Yes. All right, we'll start that tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I want to add just an update on the dining RFP. I know we've talked about this for a little while, and I just want to give you an update of where we are in that process.
Can you tell what that is? Because this is a new sentence, so they may not know.
So, as you guys may or may not be aware, the university, with all of its budget issues, we're asked to look at all different ways that we can help with budgeting and help with costs and things. And one of the areas that we looked at is the dining operation and whether or not it makes sense to bring in an outside provider to run the dining services for us, if they can operate it in a more financially better position for us. And so we're assessing that process. But what I hope you guys understand is there is a voice of student voice on the committee. And in fact, I think there's folks that are on the committee, the students, I think there's 3 here tonight. They're actually representing the student voice. So we are doing this with a student voice. We want to make sure that we're aware of that. We continue forward with that process. The responses were due yesterday. We did receive some responses, and we continue with that. But I want you to be assured that there is a student voice on that committee and representation. We continue to move forward, gathering, and to be able to make good decisions for the university.
Any questions for Mr. Looney? Okay, I don't think that we have anybody here from facilities management, so we'll move on to the president's office.
Hi, I'm Renee Pfister, and I work in the president's office and serve as the chief of staff, and I've been here, so some of you don't know, for 22 years, so I'm old. Taught in the math department for a long time and worked with students on cancer research. You can come ask me that later if you want to know more about it. Say math and cancer, they don't go together. The president wanted me to tell you that you did a great job this semester. So keep up with the finals and go through it. I wanted you to be aware of a program as well that we have started for those of you who are close to 60 or 90 hours at the end of this semester. You should have received an email. Okay, if you didn't, that means you have already achieved certain goals. But if those of you who are close to 60 or 90 hours have an opportunity to get a reduced cost for a course in the summer term. So you have to have met that eligibility, but it allows you to see your way toward graduation. So I just want you to see that that opportunity is there, and it's a pilot opportunity. There was one other thing. Let me think here. Oh, I have to say the strategic initiatives. I'm in charge of the strategic plan for the university. So when I saw that, I was jumping up. So keep it going. Measurable goals are next, so I'll wait to see what those are. So good job.
All right, and now we will move on to student affairs, Dr. Robertson.
Thank you. Well, congratulations everyone for your election, and thank you for your willingness to take on a leadership role and to be involved in student government, which there's no more important group on this campus than student government. And so we really eagerly look forward to your input, your suggestions, your recommendations, and look forward to working with you. But thank you for your willingness to serve, because it's easy to let other people do it, but you're willing to step out and say, I want to make a difference and I want to be involved. And that's what we're here for, is to help you. Myself and Jeannie Morgan and Kristen and all the folks sitting over here, we're here to help you as you implement your strategic initiatives, as you put your committee structures. Let us know how we can be of a resource to you. How can we help you achieve your goals? What information do you need? Who do you need to talk with? Let us know how we can be of help. And you have, let me just say, the most outstanding student government advisor in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And in all seriousness, we go to the Kentucky Leadership Academy every year where all the student governments gather, and with their student government leaders and the advisors, and Jeannie stands heads above all the others. So you have a tremendous resource here, so take advantage of that. And we're very fortunate to have her. And certainly let me know how I, as in student affairs, can assist you. So in that regard, some of you may already have this, some of you don't, but I give my card out all the time. Let me know what I can do to assist you. We want you to be successful. And pat you back. And it's important that you tell us how we're doing. And tell us what we're doing well, but tell us what we can do to improve. As I tell students, our goal is to make this the very best experience it can be for you as students. You had lots of choices. You may have heard me say this before. You could have gone anywhere. You decide to come to Murray State. We want to make sure we meet your expectations, but also the expectations of students. So let us know how we can be of help. And congratulations again.
Thank you. Kristen Bonds.
So first I would like to say welcome. Thank you all for your willingness to serve and for taking the initiative that you have. Like Jay-Z said, my name is Christian. I'm the graduate assistant downstairs in the Center for Student Involvement. So you will see me here at SGA meetings and at CAB events and anything else that the Center for Student Involvement does. So please, if you have any questions, need any assistance, need anything at all, please let me know. I'm here because I love students and I love to serve this great university, so please let me know what I can do for you. Wanted to let you know on May 2nd and May 3rd next week, we are going to have massage chairs from 10:30 to 2:30 here in the Career Center. So please, as you are studying and getting prepared for final exams, if you're a little stressed, take a little break and go sit in the massage chair, get a massage, and enjoy and relax. Also, Jeannie and I and JT earlier this week went to a service animals forum sponsored by Student Disability Services, and so we wanted to let this group be aware that again, every building on campus besides residential colleges are animal-free zones. Only every area is only allowed to service emotional support animals stay in the residential colleges. So we wanted that to just let everybody be aware of that. And also with our SGA Senate agreement, as you go through and you are looking at student organizations to talk to, there is a listing online that stays current all the time. That's another thing I do downstairs in the office. I oversee all of our student organizations. So please, if you have any questions, need help getting in contact with somebody, all that is listed online, but if you run into any issues, again, please do not hesitate to ask, okay? So I'll leave it at that. Congratulations to you all, and good luck with finals, and have a great summer.
And then Miss Jeannie Morgan.
Welcome to SGA. I'm going to, Renee, I've been here 41 years. So, but you are part of an organization that is wonderful, and I can't tell you how much it's going to mean to you in years to come. So take advantage of every opportunity that they give you, and remember that you're part of the SGA family. Oh, my office is downstairs, and I'm there usually early and late. So if you have any questions or any concerns at all, just stop by and see me.
All right, and just a reminder that the vacancies that we currently have for Senate, 2 Richmond College senators, and then 1 College of Humanities and Fine Arts senator. We will do those applications, and you can turn them in anytime, but we won't hold those interviews until next year. So with that, I hope that you all have a great summer, and on your way out, don't forget to put your committee preferences here and your leadership agreement there. So is there a motion to adjourn? And all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. And this meeting is adjourned.